Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1232, 1232, August 27th, 2020, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so nothing really new on the Spygate front over the past 24 hours, but there have been obviously some commentary, some interviews done, and I did want to just kind of comment on a couple of these. So we had Joe DeGeneva and his wife Victoria Tensing back on Sebastian Gorka's show. It's a fairly regular thing. They're on there all the time. This was from the 25th, I believe, is when they were last on. And so in this particular interview, it's a pretty lengthy one. They're on for like 45 minutes or so. You can pick up on the fact that DeGeneva is now seems to be walking back a bit from where he was several months ago, where he said, AG Barr, absolutely, this guy, he's going to absolutely guarantee he's going to take these guys down. He's not going to cover up for these guys. This and that and other thing. Now he's kind of waffling a bit and saying, well, he's got to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And so that's much tougher, and especially in a D.C. court and blah, 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 blah. Again, I like Joe DeGeneva. Like I said yesterday, I listen to a lot of these commentators and I hear what they have to say, and I just I accept what they say, but I sort of maintain my own thoughts about this. And as you know, for a very long time, I've said that this crime is so big, there's so much evidence that's known to the public, that I can't imagine that they're just going to try to gloss over it or try to write a report and say some people did some very bad things, but we can't find a crime. You see, I think that that's going to be very difficult to do. Not saying that it couldn't happen. It certainly could happen. We're watching things happen before our very eyes in the past. In regard to the Spygate story, we're talking, 3 or 4 years. But personally, I can go back. I can go back to the JFK assassination. I can go back to 9/11. I can go back to all kinds of things where you can say, I can't believe they actually got away with that. I can't believe they actually got away with that, right? But yeah, they get away with it every time. But a lot of us are thinking at this point, well, we got President Trump now, and we got Attorney General Barr, and I know Trump is the right guy for the job, and I know that if Trump were making the calls, these people would already be in jail. But we're counting on Barr, and Barr has made various comments in interviews going back to that. I guess the first one he did that was pretty, groundbreaking was the one he did with what's her name, Catherine Herridge, when she was still at Fox back about a year ago. That was the first time I really saw him actually say, they spied on the Trump campaign. We don't believe it was properly predicated, and he did a pretty serious interview. She asked some pretty good questions, and since then he's made numerous comments about the fact that they don't believe it was properly predicated. They definitely spied on the campaign. It was politicized and all this sort of stuff. It's the evidence is out there. In fact, it's right there in the charging statement on Kleinsmith. The Durham states right there that they were told in August of 2016 that Carter Page was not a Russian spy, or that he was working for the CIA, and he's in good standing. And of course, even Kevin Kleinsmith, in his statement, says that, I changed the wording, but you should know that there were several other people who did see the original, before I changed it, the original CIA memo. Now, I don't know if he's talking about going back to 2016, or if he's talking about at the time that he got the email from the CIA and that he made the change. That needs to be clarified. I would have to think that that's a question they're going to ask him, when they're interviewing him. It certainly would be information you would ask, because are you talking about the memorandum from 2016, or are you talking about at the time that you doctored the email? Are you saying that at that time the email that you got, that other people in your chain of command saw? That's obviously a question I would think they're going to have to dig down on. But the bottom line is, there's so much information, and Barr has made so many suggestions that there's going to be equal justice under the law, which means if people commit crimes, they go to jail. And one of those crimes would be lying to Congress. Another one would be lying to the FBI. Brennan, Comey, Clapper, these guys have all lied to the FBI. Yates, Rodenstein, go down the list. It's not hard to find their lies. The courage factor comes into play, and it's hard to predict what Barr is going to do. As far as Durham, we just don't know. But I can tell you this: if you Google John Durham, like I do almost every day now for the past year and a half, you will find that he's up in Connecticut, involved in dozens and dozens of cases. Every day he signs off on another, indictment. So he's running, his business up in Connecticut. It's not like Durham is 100% locked into the Spygate thing. I mean, he's running his show up there in Connecticut, and this is just one of many things that he's doing. Whereas, if you ask me, if I was Barr and I would have wanted to put someone on this, I'd have wanted to put someone specifically dedicated to it. Not tell a U.S. attorney in Connecticut, no matter how good you think he is. So yeah, in addition to all the other hundreds of cases that you're working on every day, yeah, go ahead and look into this too. But maybe that explains why he's got Mr. Altenberg in place. But if so, then why weren't we told about Mr. Altenberg? Why are we told it's Durham? And of course, we know Durham was actively involved back last summer. He made a couple trips with Barr. So we just don't know a lot. And I think that that's what's creating so much of this stuff that we're seeing the last several months, where you're getting all these commentators from former prosecutors like DeGeneva and Andrew McCarthy and all these various people. They're commenting on these things. People are trying to figure out, trying to sort it out, trying to give their opinion. Should they give the glass half empty, the glass half full? What's it look like to you? Then you got the journalists out there, the Lee Smiths. You got politicians like Devin Nunes. So, some people optimistic, some people not optimistic. Some people predicting nobody gets in trouble. Some people predicting everybody gets indicted. Martial law, or was it here all the time? Military tribunals. You hear everything in the world. It runs the gamut. The fact of the matter is, nobody really knows. But one thing we do know is what should happen. And there has already been, as I said, enough evidence out in the public that we know that massive crimes were committed, including the overall largest crime of them all, the conspiracy to take down a sitting president after failing at trying to keep him from being elected in the first place. Okay, so there's a lot going on here and plenty to prosecute. And I understand that the average time for a federal investigation to a conspiracy such as the one that we're dealing with, and this is a fairly large conspiracy, is about 2 years. Durham's been on the job about 18, 19 months. So it's coming up in that time period. But I guess what bothers a lot of people is that there's already solid evidence against a handful of people, and they have not been indicted, charged, or anything else. And then we get Kleinsmith. He gets a sweetheart plea deal. Now he's almost certainly cooperating because he waived a jury trial. If you waive a jury trial, he's probably cooperating because it was called an information. So, I have to assume, and I do believe he is, got some sort of a cooperation agreement. I have a rough time believing that they would give him the hand slap and get nothing in return. It's just my mind does not adjust to that, accept that. Okay, nobody's that stupid. So I do believe Kleinsmith's cooperating. The issue with Brennan, now DeGeneva's take is that Durham has determined that Brennan, did bad stuff, but cannot prove a crime beyond a reasonable doubt, and therefore DeGeneva believes that Brennan is now being used as a witness against Comey. So DeGeneva believes that Brennan is now a witness against Comey, and whether he's a willing witness or he's being forced to testify against Comey, it's really hard to say. again, these guys will all stab each other in the back. I said that a long time ago. I wouldn't want, if I was Comey, I would want to be counting on Mr. Potato Head. I don't think so. I wouldn't want to be counting on Mr. Potato Head at all. He'll throw Comey under the bus in a heartbeat, right along with everyone else, just like Rodenstein and Yates and all the rest. But they're in this up to their eyeballs. So, I think we all just have to try to be patient a little bit longer. We're going to know something here very soon. As I said yesterday, if Barr doesn't take some serious action, and I mean serious action, real actions, by within 2 weeks of the election, then I think it's not going to happen before the election. At which point, I don't care. At that point, Trump gets reelected, and at that point, I'm done with Barr. I will have lost my confidence in him completely, because allowing this election 2020 election to take place in November without him making people fully aware of what did happen in 2016, I think is a travesty. I will not be able to accept that. I will never, at this point, I will have zero confidence in Barr, and I will be pushing as hard as I can for Trump to appoint his own presidential commission and to put his own people on it, and then to bring in a couple prosecutors, give them full subpoena power, give them all the special counsel powers that Mueller had, and get down to business. And I mean quick indictments. Indict the people you got right now. Yeah, you can get other stuff on them later, but you got stuff on them right now. It's like Brennan. Brennan lied to Congress. Okay? Multiple times. That's enough to charge him. I would charge him now with lying to Congress. I would charge him, all these guys. I mean, I don't like the way that this investigation is playing out. Now, maybe there's things I don't know. But I do know that when you're watching a real investigation that they're real serious about, they find anything that they can get on any player, even if he's a remote player on the far outer edge, or whether he's a top-tier player on the inside. You get as much possible information as you can. If you even if you have to stretch it a mile, you may not even be able to legitimately even have these be able to prove these charges, but you lay them out there anyway. You force the person to come in and talk to you. Oh, I'm going to hit you with this and this and this and this, and it's a tactic that prosecutors will use, and that's how they get people in there to roll over. I don't see hardly any efforts being made, and we can see they can drag Bannon off of a boat and arrest him. They arrest other people, bring them into court. They're having grand juries and everything else, but you don't hear much about what's going on with Durham. So, I sometimes think maybe Barr and Durham and people like that work within that system have such a high tolerance for corruption and such a low bar for accountability that they don't understand how the average American looks at it. Because the average American understands that they would not be treated that way in their situation in their life. If they ran afoul of the law with their local jurisdiction, then there wouldn't be any of this. As soon as the cops found out, they would do a little investigation, they would make an arrest, and they would put you in front of a judge, and they'd file charges, and off you would go on your merry way to do whatever you're going to do, either do some jail time or beat the rap or whatever. What we're not used to is watching 2.5, 3.5 years of having massive amounts of evidence and seeing nothing really being done about it, on one hand. But on the other hand, we're watching the actual perpetrators continuing to do exactly what they had been doing. We're seeing two completely different versions of the law. And I go back to the confirmation hearing with Attorney General Barr. The one thing he said that gave me optimism is he said, I believe in equal justice under the law. To me, I thought what that meant was, hey, here's the standard that they used when they had Mueller and the FBI and the CIA and everybody else under the Obama administration going after the Trump campaign. That is the standard that they set. So in this particular investigation, that's what we're going to do. That's equal justice. We're going to treat the Obama people the way Obama people treated the Trump people. That to me is what I thought he was talking about. But apparently not. Apparently what he's saying now is, well, what they did under the Obama administration was horrible shit. Horrible shit. We're not going to do that. We're above all that. I'm sorry, man. That's not going to work. The only thing that's going to do is make those perpetrators laugh at you. They're going to be rolling on the floor laughing, as they go ahead and plan their next plot, because now they know that Barr will do nothing. Because he's going to be the straight guy in this. They don't give a damn. What's Barr think? That he's going to come in and in one term, in a couple of 3 or 4 years, he serves as Attorney General, he's going to correct all the massive corruption. It's layers and layers and layers deep in the Department of Justice, and that once he walks out the door, he's going to leave behind the golden turd on a law book on the desk of the Attorney General, and future Attorney Generals are going to come in and sniff it and go, well, that's Bill Barr's turd. It smells pretty damn good. I think I'm going to play it straight. I don't think so. The very next time you get a Democrat in office, they're going to put in a corrupt Attorney General like Lynch, like Holder, and they're going to go after and weaponize the intelligence community just like they did in 2015, 2016, 2017, and continue to this day, actually. So if they're doing this stuff and continuing to do this stuff under Barr while he's sitting in the damn chair, what makes him think that when he leaves the damn chair that somehow he's going to leave behind, he's going to let a big fart on the way out the door, and it's going to smell so good that everybody that comes in from that point on is going to, oh my God, the effervescence of a Bill Barr fart. That is so good. I think we're going to clean this place up. He set the standard here. All farts are going to smell good from here on out in the Department of Justice. We're going to carry this effervescence with us, and for the rest of eternity, Bill Barr has now laid the example, and we're all going to sniff it and follow it. I don't think so. Day one, as soon as any Democrat walks in the Oval Office, they're going to fire whoever Republican president has put in as the Attorney General, and they're going to put in their own corrupt AG, who's then going to look back and say, man, you remember when we weaponized the intelligence community against our opponent in 2015, 2016, and got away with it? We even got caught! We got caught red-handed with our hand in the cookie jar, and we still got away with it! We can do anything! That's the reality. I wish I was the Attorney General, but I'm not. So I guess that's the way I kind of see it. But yeah, we have DeGeneva. He believes now. Again, you can tell if you just watch the broadcast, you'll see that what he was saying 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago about how Barr is absolutely, they're going to have to pay the Barr bill. Now it's like, well, he has to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm waiting for that report, to tell us what happened. So, these people wobbly kneed all over the place. One day they think there's people going to be prosecuted. The next day they don't. It's just, nobody really knows. But, it doesn't look like to me that there's, I don't see a lot of people sweating. I don't see Comey sweating. I don't see McCabe sweating. I don't see Lisa Page sweating. I don't see any of these people sweating. And if Brennan's truly telling the truth, or if his spokesperson is truly telling the truth, that he literally is off the hook, and then I don't know what to think about that. I mean, that's just, he said right there and lied to Congress, and it's on video, and everybody's seen it. It's been played 1 million times. That's not equal justice under the law. So, again, it's very frustrating, I know, for everyone, including me. But we have no control over that right now. I think all we have to do is just watch, though. We don't have much more time. Pretty soon we're going to be at the election. If Barr hasn't acted, then as far as I'm concerned, I am done with him. And day after the election, I'll be doing everything I can to inspire people to convince Trump that he needs to appoint a special counsel and just dust Barr off, put him over on the side. If he wants to retire, let him retire. If he wants to stick around, he can stick around. Who cares? Who gives a damn? He's worthless at that point. And I think, of course, you got to fire Director Wray. I would have gotten rid of Haspel a long time ago. She was running the CIA operations for Brennan in London in 2016. She's still there. Why someone told Trump that hiring Haspel would be a good idea, I don't know. The very best thing that could happen for Trump is if he were to get someone around him who can start giving him some actual good advice on who he should put into these positions. He went along with Rodenstein, he went along with Comey, he went along with Haspel, makes her the CIA director. She's up to her eyeballs in the coup. I mean, I just don't know. It's very, very frustrating. It seems like throughout Trump's entire presidency, he has put people in around him who are his freaking enemies. and I don't understand it. I mean, I would think he would follow this stuff as much as we do, and if he does follow it, how could he not know that Haspel was up to our eyeballs in this? How would he allow Rodenstein to operate for so long? I would have appointed a presidential commission right after the Mueller. As soon as they say, okay, we're going to have Mueller start his investigation. If I was a president, I said, okay, good. I'm going to have one of my own. I'm going to have a presidential commission that's going to look into everything, including your boy Mueller. How about that? Dueling investigations. Let's see what we find. That's what I would have done. You cannot trust anybody, any of these people in Washington. I'm convinced of that. So that's kind of my take on that. DeGenevan now getting a little weak in the knees. Not so sure Barr's going to find the evidence, even though it's right out in front of all of our eyes and has been for a very long time. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Of course, we have, on the other hand, the equation, we have Lee Smith doing this podcast with Devin Nunes, and they both remain optimistic for the same reasons that I've been saying for a very long time. I think it's really hard to have this much evidence out in the public domain and then not prosecute people. I think the blowback to that is going to be very serious. I'm telling you, if Barr does not produce, I don't know. I mean, if he does not produce, I mean, the Democrats already hate him. Okay, there's nothing he can do to win their love and support. That's not going to happen. But if Barr fails to produce and hold these people accountable, and this is his deal, by the way. It's not Durham's deal. This is Attorney General Barr's deal. If he does not produce, he is going to go down in history as the most suck-ass Attorney General, as far as the Republicans are concerned, in history. His reputation, I mean, he's talking about, Sean Hannity asking about, if he prosecutes these people, he's going to come under attack and political correctness and all this kind of stuff. I'm wondering where Sean Hannity's coming from. I mean, I look at it the other way around. What the Democrats or whatever think about Barr, who gives a damn? I'd be looking at the other way around as, my question to Barr, my statement to Barr would have been, hey, the American people have been watching this for, a couple of years. There's a lot of evidence proving what they did. We know what they did. It's just a matter of someone being actually charged, and they need to be. And if you fail to do that with everybody knowing what happened, basically a coup, and much worse, if you fail to do that, you're going to go down in history as like the worst Attorney General ever. I mean, your name is mud amongst Republicans. You might as well go over and join the Democrat Party. You might as well be over in the Democrat camp, because that's exactly you'll be helping. You'll be giving the Democrats, rolling out the red carpet for them to spend the next 4 years going after Trump for the entire 4 years of his second term. And God knows what they'll try next. And after that, whoever the next Republican president is will do the same thing to him. You will have basically told the Democrats, go ahead, you can get away with this. That's the way I would have put it to Barr. I mean, that's what I would say to him. Now, just my thoughts on exactly what I would be doing if I were there working for Barr. We hear this comment sometimes. People say, well, it all started with Papadopoulos and Alexander Downer, Down the Hatch Downer. No, it did not. See, that's wrong. That I don't like when I hear that. No, it started before that. There would have been no Downer Papadopoulos if not for Papadopoulos Mifsud. Mifsud is where it started. That's where it started with the Spygate part of this. Obviously, the hacking the so-called hack of the DNC. That was another part of it on the political side with the right Reverend Clinton, the Democrats trying to cover their ass because an insider had leaked the stuff, damaging to Hillary in the campaign. They were trying to cover their ass. They create this Russian narrative. That's fine if that would have just been a campaign thing. But I'm talking about where it gets into an FBI investigation, CIA stuff involved, foreign governments, State Department, all this stuff going on, private contractors, all these other things, and then we find out things around in the peripheral that have been going on, the 702 queries, and you get into all this stuff, the James Wolfe stuff. I mean, it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. But if it were me, I would want to first draw a circle around the part of this investigation that specifically focuses on what was done to Trump during the 2015 campaign, 2016 campaign, and then post-election once he wins. Things as far as the Spygate story. All the other things on the peripheral, yes, you could investigate those and see what you can find out there, and that should all be released to the public in a report or whatever, maybe indictments. But this story here is the one I'd be focused on. And if I were working on this investigation, I would absolutely get to the bottom of where this began. And it began with Mifsud dropping the ticking time bomb on Papadopoulos. That's where it started. And that shouldn't be too hard to find out. Because all you have to do is trace back the steps from Papadopoulos' book. He's invited to London by the fat man, Halper. He's lured there by Halper saying, yeah, we'll give you $3,000 to write a paper on energy in the Middle East or wherever. That's how they lure him in. Then once he gets there and he writes this article, the next thing you know, he's brought into this circle of spies, which includes this woman, Arvinder Sambai, who Papadopoulos talks about in his book. She has connections to Bruce and Nellie Orr. She's friends of Bruce and Nellie Orr. She worked under Uncle Bob the Executioner Mueller. She's been in and around the Department of Justice working in various capacities, probably mostly in an intelligence capacity. Most of these positions she holds are probably covers. She's probably CIA. And she was probably there working for Haspel, would be my guess. She is the one that tells Papadopoulos that Papadopoulos says, well, I'm going to join the Trump campaign. And she says, oh, well, before you do that, you've got to go to Rome, you got to go to Italy, and you got to meet this guy. He could hook you up with a lot of important people. You need to go meet this guy, because he could hook you up. You don't want to miss this opportunity. Papadopoulos is like, okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, that would come in handy. I'd like to have someone who could give me a lot of European contacts that I don't have, So that is how he got put into Misfit. He goes to Link University. He's introduced to Misfit by Vincenzo Scotti, a former Italian government official. And Dearlove is there and all these other guys. Well, there you go. All of these people, Dearlove, Arvinder Sambai, Halper, and Scotti, are all the people who were intermediaries between Papadopoulos and Mifsud. Those four people, Dearlove, Halper, Sambai, and Halper, Sambai, Dearlove, and one other. Anyway, these people are the people who were the intermediaries between Papadopoulos and Mifsud. These are the people who know who put Mifsud into the game. These are the people who put Mifsud into the game. And there is a way to get them to talk. They're part of this conspiracy. And when you've got people like that you want them to talk, there are ways to get them to talk. You can also consider them a suspect and go get a warrant to listen to them, to listen to their phone calls. And then you send a couple agents over to drop some pressure on them, knowing good and well that the response to that pressure is going to be to contact other people in some way that they were involved with and say, hey man, I'm getting leaned on hard pressure, and they've named you, so I think you're next. I think they're going to come and lean on you real hard. You get these people nervous, you get them talking, and you make sure you're listening when they do. There are ways to get this working. We already know that they got 2 phones from Mifsud. That should tell them a lot. But believe me, if I were on this investigation, I'm telling you, that is the key. It is Mifsud. Who put Mifsud into the game? Because that started the whole damn thing. And if you can't figure out who put Mifsud into the game, that's the beginning of the conspiracy. If you can't show where it started, you can't just pick up in the middle of it and say, well, at some point this happened. Papadopoulos sits down and he talks to Downer without being able to talk about the fact that the ticking time bomb was dropped on Papadopoulos, which is the reason that Downer wanted to have to talk to Papadopoulos. It's the reason that Halper wanted to talk to Papadopoulos. Without that, nothing else matters. It's, I mean, and I don't think it will be that hard. It's not that hard. We know who Papadopoulos talked to, who told him to go to Italy to meet Mifsud. Those people clearly knew what was going on. They're the ones who sent Papadopoulos to Italy to meet Mifsud. So you go to Arvinder Sambe and you say, look, you're the one who told Papadopoulos to go to Italy to meet Mifsud. And as it turns out, this guy drops a ticking time bomb on Papadopoulos. What did you know? And then if she doesn't want to talk, or if she cops an attitude, you say, fine, we will see you in court, because we're going to charge you in a criminal conspiracy. And we think so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so is probably involved. And we're going to talk to them too. At which point, you get the surveillance warrant on them. Because the next thing they're going to do is they're going to get rattled and they're going to start talking to the people they're involved with. Letting them know, hey man, the heat's coming down. And you're listening and watching and following these people. A real investigation. That's how you do a real... I'm telling you, if you put me on this damn investigation, I would know who put Mifsud in the game in about no more than 90 days. Max. 90 days max. Probably faster than that. I would know. I'd have someone in writing, in person, down in front of me on a table, signing a legal document. A sworn statement saying, yeah, this is the person who put Mifsud in the game. I would have that in 90 days tops. I know exactly how you do it. You bring the heat. You bring the heavy heat on people, and they act accordingly. It's exactly what Mueller did. Fact is, was no crimes. So they had to go with process crimes. In this case, there are real crimes. There are also process crimes. There are also just the little ones, like lying to Congress. You can use lying to Congress to bring the heavy heat on someone. And FBI agents a lot of times will go to someone who they really don't have the evidence on. They have a lot of suspicions, but they don't have the hard evidence. But they'll sit down across the table from them and lead them to believe they got everything, just to get them to talk. All these types of tactics are used by the FBI in breaking up, criminal activity and taking people down all the time. But it doesn't appear that they're being used in this case. Almost as if they really don't want to, almost like they really don't want to have to hold people really accountable. You just get that feeling. And I wish to God that I was on that investigative team, because I can assure you, I know where the damn thing started. It started with Mifsud. Someone put him in the game. When you find out who put Mifsud into the game, this whole thing will just fall like dominoes. Because now you got you got it all. Right? You got it all. So, that's what I would do. It's a shame I'm not there. Thank you for tuning in. See ya. Bye.